Hello YouTube and welcome back. This time I'm going to be talking about the sit stand desk that I made. I'll start off on how I designed it, then I'll go into the process of me making it, and then finally I'll talk about how I like it so far. So I had a few different ideas of how to make this desk, different designs, and so this is my first design here where you'd have basically two layers with storage in the middle, and I had this little door right here, which you could open up, and inside there would be a cubby for like power, USB, whatever I wanted. And then it's not, these cubbies didn't quite go all the way back, so you'd be able to put your wires back through there as well. I ended up not doing this design. This is just too tall, too thick between the cubbies and the top and the bottom of the desk. So that's the basic reason that I scrapped this design. And so I went for design number 2. So design number 2, I still had the little cubby thing here, and I started designing out where I wanted to hang the computer. So the computer is hanging at the back right here, and I still had the little cubby here for putting all the wires and everything in there. And then I had a little area here that you could route wires from where the computer sits, and the back would be here and comes up and over. And I just wanted to play around with a few more ideas to see what I wanted. So I came up with design number 3, which was making the computer go the other way. Instead of back and forth on the back side, it's back and forth on the side. So that was that design. I still had the little cubby for all the cutouts and everything, but I didn't really like this design too much. One of the problems is that the legs that eventually will go onto the desk here will be in the way of this guy. Okay, so this was my last plan, and this is the one I'm currently going with. So I modeled in the legs at this point, so I'd be able to accurately put where everything's going to go. And I kept with the second plan's idea of having the computer at the very back. And the main reason for that is just so we have better routing options to go up through here. So I have a little hole here which will go into this cubby area here, and then I could put a power strip or whatever in this area. And then I have another place here to put put more wires and cable management, whatever. And I had added this new little hanger here. This hanger is actually for my stereo receiver that I'm going to be using for my computer. So this is the design I've been going for right now. In its current state, I only have the top and the legs attached. And I'm currently working out all the details for the hangers and wire management and stuff. I started out with the top, and I was using 2x4 framing lumber from your local big box store. And one of the things about framing lumber here in the United States is that they make all the corners rounded. And so first I would go and I'd cut off the rounded ends, and then I would make this about 1.5 by 1.5 inches and about 80 inches long, which is just shy of 7 feet. And so I had to cut out about 20 of these, and that would make up the majority of the desk. As you can imagine, cutting this much wood made a lot of sawdust. Once all the pieces were cut out, it was time to glue them all up. And so I put a bunch of wax paper all over my top of my table saw, which is where I'd be gluing these guys up. And I only did a couple at a time gluing up because I didn't have any bar clamps, which I really should have in this project. It would have made it a lot easier, as you'll see later in this video, all the cleanup I had to do. So I would just go and flip them all on their sides and put glue on one side of everything and put them all together and then clamp them. I also had some wood pieces that were below and above. The idea was to make it so that these pieces would be clamped as well, and I'd be able to align them. It didn't really work out as well as I hoped. Once everything was all glued together, nothing was perfectly flat, and so I decided to use a belt sander to try to grind down as fast as I could to make it nice and smooth. And when that was taking a while, I decided, okay, let's try a hand plane. And that was taking a while as well. So after much frustration and lots of time wasted, I decided to come up with a new solution. The solution I decided to go with is called a router plane. And basically all you do is you take some straight boards on the side, in my case is some 2x6s, and then you have a box on top that the router sits in. So the router can move back and forth, and then you move the box forward, you do another line, go back and forth, and you just keep repeating that until the whole board is flattened. And once one side is done, flip it over and do the other side. Lastly, I wanted to put some trim on it, and I had some leftover maple from a previous project, so I just cut down some maple strips here and mitered the corners, and I got these bandy clamps from Rockler, and so they just make it really easy for me to put the trim on the side and glue it up. And once I was done doing the trim, gluing it up, I used a flush trim router bit to go around the whole thing, and so it's all flush at the top. For a finish on the top, I decided to use amber shellac. It just brings out the really nice color in the wood. It's a yellowish orange, and it's durable enough, and if I ever have to refinish it, it's really easy. Just give it another coat and it's good to go. Unfortunately, I lost the video of me putting together the frame, but this is an uplift desk frame, and my version came with 3 legs. I haven't mounted the 3rd leg yet, but supposedly it can lift up to 500 pounds, which is pretty awesome. And this was really easy to put together, and to put the top on, there's just a few screws. You have a few screws on the left side and the right side, and then you have to screw on the control unit, which you can move the desk up and down. And then there's a controller / power supply that you have to mount underneath. And finally, there's one screw right in the middle. So I've been using this desk for about 2 months now. It's huge, it's solid, and the best feature of it is it goes up and down. So here's the desk at its lowest level. I set it so that the top of my armrest go right underneath here really easily, and it's the best height for typing on the keyboard on top of the desk. So the way this desk is controlled is you have an up button, which will move it up. You can tell the height, that's the height from the ground, and you can move it down. And alternatively, you can have presets here. So 1 is my position at my lowest level, 2 is my standing position, and 3 and 4 I don't really use, but in case you had other uses for them, you could. The desk also rises pretty fast, and it's not very noisy at all. So there it is, risen. Well, I've been getting some use out of this. This is a floor mat, so it's pretty thick and has foam padding in it. It's very much like a cushion that you'd have in your shoe, but a lot bigger. So when you put that on the ground, you can stand on it, and it just cushions your feet for when you're in the standing mode. So a little bit about standing mode. I haven't used a sit-stand desk before. One of the reasons for making this desk was to try it out to see if I'd want to make one and have one at work all the time. I have mixed feelings on the desk for sit-stand. I don't stand very often while using this desk, maybe an hour or 2 a day, but that's better than me sitting all day, I guess. So far, my best use out of this desk has actually been for making videos. Because I can raise this desk high enough for when I'm shooting videos that everything's in the center here, and that's great for good shots, as opposed to having it low all the time, which is great for typing. One of the things about using this as a sit-stand desk, though, is the monitor does not raise up with the desk. But it is adjustable monitor, so I have to go and adjust the monitor up to the height for me to be able to see it properly. Which really isn't that big of a deal, but something to think about. I can say, though, that the position of the desk at the lower position and the higher position are both great for typing. When I'm sitting down, my hands just go like this, and when standing up, they're a little bit lower down like this, but both of them are very comfortable typing positions. One of my problems with this desk so far is cable management. Obviously, my full design has more in the ways of cable management, but I haven't gotten there quite yet. Besides just looking messy, the problem is that when I'm moving it up and down, sometimes the cables can get caught. I actually had to go out and buy a few more longer cables just so that didn't happen. So far I'm really enjoying this desk, and the sit stand may or may not be a bust in the future, but it's great for video work, so I'm going to keep it around. It only costs about $50 between like wood and finish and all that for the top. The legs are a little bit of a different story. I ended up paying about $500, and I actually have a third leg that goes onto this guy, which allows it to have more capacity and weight. For whenever I hang my computer and my stereo from it, I just want to make sure that it comes up in a timely fashion. But these seem like really solid legs. They come up fast. There's not really any give on the desk when I'm pressing down, and it's not noisy at all. Those are some of the concerns that I had. A lot of desks that I've seen, including a lot of the IKEA desks, are just really flimsy, and you can just push them down and the whole thing tilts and creaks and everything. This guy is really solid. I mean, it does have a little bit of a flex, but it's really not that bad, and you have to be really pressing down on it for it to do anything. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, leave me some comments, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.